Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. At this time, I'll call the regular meeting of the Quinta City Council for February 4, 2014 to order. At this time, I'll ask for roll call, please, Susan.
Council members Evans.
Present.
Franklin.
Here.
Henderson.
Present.
Osborne.
Here.
Mayor Adolph.
Here. We have no closed sessions this evening. At this time, I'll ask that you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your hand over your heart and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on an item which is on the agenda, I'd ask that you please fill out a form which is in the back of the room. It's an orange form, and give it to our city clerk. At this time, anybody wishing to speak on an item not on the agenda may come up to the podium, say what you would like. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the confirmation of agenda. Are there any changes, additions, or deletions by staff?
No.
And by council members?
I just have to,
Okay.
I think that we should pull, consent to for a separate vote, just because of where it is.
Yeah. We'll have to do that. That's it? Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, we now have, go on to the next item, which is presentations. And the first one is a presentation to the La Quinta Middle School for the Golden Bell Award. And what I'm going to do is pick up the proclamation, and I'm going to come down on the floor. Not literally, but I will walk down.
Having said that.
And we have representatives here. All right, good. What we have here, if you'd like to come up here, come on, to accept the award. And this is a presentation of a proclamation to the La Quinta Middle School, and accepting the proclamation is Principal Janet Soto. Good to see you again. The California School Boards Association Golden Bell Awards program recognizes and supports educators who invest extra time and energy to make a difference for students. La Quinta Middle School's after-school all-star program was selected as a recipient of the 2013 Golden Bell Award. Congratulations. The All-Star program is an after-school program that provides a structured, supervised time for students to discover and explore their interest while improving their overall physical fitness and self-image. The All-Star program helps to bridge a transition from middle school to high school, improving students' self-esteem and confidence, and helps the students to acknowledge skills and talents in areas that are offered at our local high schools. On behalf of the City of La Quinta and this City Council, it is my pleasure to present this proclamation to La Quinta Middle School and extend our appreciation to the Desert Sands Unified School Board and its teachers, staff, and students of the La Quinta Middle School for their efforts towards building a foundation in middle school that encourages a positive high school experience. Go Bulldogs.
All right.
I'm not going to read all the whereases. I think we've covered it all. And if you would like to say something.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. I want to introduce and present to you my coordinator, Laura Spradlin, very instrumental in writing the grants and everything else to help coordinate the program. So she deserves a big hand of applause. My assistant principal, Tammy Monroy, too, and so I just feel like we're really a great team, and we work together and are able to provide this for our kids. So
Good.
thank you so
And
much.
this is the award?
Yes,
Does it ring?
Yes.
All right. Great. Well, again, congratulations and to all your staff and to the students, of course.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks. Great, thanks.
have a second presentation. It's a presentation by Queen Scheherazade and her court on behalf of the Riverside County Fair and National Date Festival. So if you come on up, and I'm sure you'll introduce yourselves and give us a little bio.
Yes, good evening Mayor and City Council members. My name is McKenna McIntyre and I'm Queen Scheherazade. I'm currently a senior at La Quinta High School where I'm ASB Vice President as well as I'm involved in the International Baccalaureate program.
And go Blackhawks.
Go
That's
Blackhawks. Right. Outside of school, I'm very involved in my church as well as the National Charity League, which is a mother-daughter charity organization. And now I'd like to introduce you to Princess Denizade.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christopher Ramirez, and I am Princess Denizade this year. I am also a senior at Coachella Valley High School, where I am the senior class president as well as the varsity cheer captain. After I graduate, I plan to attend a 4-year university and major in computer science. Now I'll introduce to you Princess Jasmine.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Klein. I'm currently a student at College of the Desert, but I graduated from La Quinta High School in 2012. I also did go to La Quinta Middle School. While I was at La Quinta High School, I created the La Quinta High School Fashion Club through the College Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. I plan on transferring this upcoming fall to Cal Poly Pomona and major in apparel manufacturing and production. With this degree, I want to promote ethical and sustainable fashion internationally. So now I'll turn it back over to Queen Scheherazade.
Good.
Wow.
So this year marks the 68th Annual Riverside County Fair National Date Festival, and it'll run from February 14th to the 23rd. The gates will open every day at 10 a.m. and close at 10 p.m. And there's so many things at the Date Festival for people to do. It's fun for the whole family, from the amazing food like the turkey legs and the corn on the cob and funnel cakes to the rides that are available for the whole family. It's sure to be a great time. The fair also has special events including monster truck rallies and the fun and unique ostrich and camel races. So we'd love to see you all there, and Princess Denizade would like to tell you a little bit about the entertainment that the fair has to offer this year.
For the past 68 years, the Riverside County Fair National Day Festival has had some of the best entertainment. And this year we have an exciting lineup, including headliners such as Daughtry, Los Tucanos de Tijuana, Gary Sinise and the Lieutenant Dan Band, Cool in the Game, Fight for Fighting, and Super Fiesta. During the midweek, fair attendees can also go back in time and enjoy tributes to Waylon Jennings and Buddy Holly. Now Princess Jasmine will tell you a little bit about our fair promotions.
Starting on Friday, February 14th, the opening day of the fair, the first 5 hours will be free for everyone to attend. Monday is Veterans Appreciation Day and President's Day, where we'll be celebrating with a parade. Tuesday is Canada Day, so all Canadian residents will receive free entry to the fair with proof of residency. Wednesday is Kids Day, so with every purchased adult ticket, one child will be able to enter the fair for free. Thursday is O'Reilly Day, so with proof of purchase from an O'Reilly store, you'll be able to go to the fair for $5. And Friday is Fantasy $5 Fridays, where everyone can attend for $5, courtesy of Fantasy Springs. So now I'll turn it back over to Queen Scheherazade to wrap things up.
Got a full week.
Yes, it'll be a great time. Thank you guys so much for letting us be here this afternoon. We'd just like to extend to you the opportunity to ask any questions or make any additional comments that anyone might have about the fair.
Good. Any questions you'd like to ask?
Well, I
The
just
court?
want to say, I think you girls are doing a great job and continuing the great job that they've done over the many, many years. So keep it up. Good luck.
And that doesn't mean you girls are many, many years old. It's a good thing, and your costumes this year are beautiful.
Thank you.
I just think it's fabulous that we've got such local queens this year. It's fabulous to have two of you from La Quinta and our sister city, and very well accomplished with great dreams and goals. And I understand that this year at the Date Festival, they're also trying to bring back more of the historic component of dates in our valley and the importance of the manufacturing of the dates overall, because it seems like over the years that's shrunk a little bit. I'm hearing a lot more about the date focus, which is near to our heart from our former council member. So very excited. I'll be out there enjoying with you.
It seems like every year I'm a little bit more surprised about the talent that stands before us.
Mhm.
You're all just so great in different ways and have great hopes and dreams, and I'm just proud of you and what you're doing representing the fair. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here.
I have the opportunity to go and watch this selection when you're up there, and giving your presentations and that, and you know, all of the girls, they're just, I don't know how they can pick. You know, it's awful difficult, and we're familiar with having to pick people and that, and how difficult it is, but I think they made 3 great selections, and we're very proud to have you come before us and talk, and you know that we support the Date Festival and that, and we're looking forward to another great year. And most of us have seen many of these festivals over the years, when you were maybe a little bit smaller. So, girls, thank you very much for coming and putting on your presentation, giving us a little bit about it and that. We appreciate it, and good luck, and I hope that the parade is a little warm and not cold, because you're not dressed for it.
Thank you so much. We'll have to see you guys all at the fair. We have a few things to pass out for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. It'll go with all my other ones. All right, thank you. And thank you, Bob.
Great to see you. Thank you very much. Thank you. See you at the fair.
And we have one last presentation, and that's a presentation to the Convention and Visitors Bureau update. And if you would introduce yourself.
Absolutely.
Give us your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. I'm Scott White, President and CEO of the Greater Palm Springs Convention and Visitors Bureau, located at 70-100 Highway 111 in Rancho Mirage. And I've got some handouts. Can I just go ahead and
Hand them out.
It's always tough following a queen in her court. I'll try to do my best to do that. Well, Susan's handing out the packets. I sent an email out to all of you just to kind of give you a little bit of advance information about what we're going to talk a little bit about today. But before we do that, while she's doing this, I wanted to recognize Linda Evans, who's been our vice chair of the JPA for the past year and is going to be reelected for the coming year as well. So congratulations. Her efforts have been stellar and really been great, representing not only La Quinta but the entire destination, so thank you. We've also added a few new board members to our CBB board of directors. We now have Paul Charette on the board from La Quinta Resort and Club, Brad Poncher from Homewood Suites, who's been on our board but got re-elected, Lee Marcus from FIG and his many different restaurants around the valley, and then our newest board member is Lon Grundy from PGA West, the general manager there. A great addition to our team, and he'll represent the golf market for us. And I got here in December of 2010, and we quickly hit the ground running, trying to do some research and trying to understand where do we want to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years. Sat the board down, it's hard to corral them together to really kind of come up with a strategic plan, but we sat down and talked about where we need to go. And the research that we've had really showed that we have a lot of opportunity for the destination. People that have been to the destination describe us as a beautiful oasis, a retreat, and have lots of accolades for us. Those that haven't been to the desert, though, describe us as an old retirement community with nothing to do, difficult to get to, hot all the time, and so on. So recognizing that, the board, as we try to promote tourism, and really wanted to elevate the CBB to kind of a higher level. In the past, we were kind of in the weeds, or kind of more almost competing with the cities in terms of our marketing objectives and so forth. And really, how do we take what we're doing to a little bit higher level? And as you look around the country, we have Brand USA, which has been established for the first time in a long time to really market the country internationally. And then we have Visit California, which markets the entire state. And then we look at ourselves as the regional organization to really market and to connect with the state tourism office, the international tourism offices, and really trying to align ourselves with all of the product that we have. So the strategic planning that we did in 2012, and then we revisited that in 2013, was really to look at how do we increase funding for the CBB. And if you look at our funding that we had in the past compared to Scottsdale, Phoenix, San Diego, a lot of the cities that we compete with, don't even want to look at Las Vegas, who's got a huge budget, but just even looking at people that are similar to us, we're way behind. And even with the increase, we're still behind what they're spending on dollars and competing with us. But we went ahead and moved forward with how do we increase the funding for the destination. We brought in a company called Civitas, who looked at our business improvement district and analyzed what are our options in terms of incorporating other beneficiaries of our industry into that bid, and really came back to the bid is really set up to benefit the hotels, and the hotels are the ones that are going to have to choose to either be assessed or not assessed. So with that, we decided to say, let's increase a new tourism marketing district, separate from the business improvement district that was set up in 2008, to really focus on consumer marketing, consumer branding, and consumer awareness of the destination. We wanted the small hotels, vacation rentals, and the large hotels to come on board, and we realized pretty quickly that it was like herding cats trying to get the small hotels and vacation rentals and everything else in a short time period. We did this pretty quick. So the large hotels came back and said, let's just start with us, get the ball rolling, let's show the community what we can do and what the difference will make in the future, and then hopefully down the line we can bring on the small hotels and the vacation rentals in the future if they choose, and that's something we'll look at and want to show them an opportunity. So the 1% assessment was set up and passed last June. We went into effect in August, and we estimate that that 1% will generate about $3 million. We worked with all of the city marketing managers, department heads. We met with all the hotels. We met with a lot of the industry stakeholders, and really wanted to make sure as we built our strategic plan, which is what you have in front of you, it's this document here, it's our business development plan, and it really outlines a lot of the details of what we're going to do in the year, from convention sales to travel industry sales to marketing and so forth. So I'll touch on a little bit of that, keep it high level. But on the marketing side of things, we're dedicating in the first year 65% of that to national print programs. And we're looking at, right now we're in Condé Nast, Sunset Magazine, Travel and Leisure Magazine, Texas Monthly. We thought we'd give Texas a little view of how beautiful California is every time they're taking shots at us. But no, it's a great magazine, and it's obviously great markets there with nonstop service from Houston and Dallas. So we're also looking at 23% of the dry market. It's a key market for us. Southern California, San Diego, and Orange County ranked very high for us. 12% to international markets. We do a lot with international offices. So we have an international office in the UK, Germany, Australia, and now China. So we added China this past year. Research is showing, between talking with Visit California, Brand USA, and LA, that market's going to continue to grow substantially, and we have the right amenities to attract that market, which is key shopping, golf, spas, resorts, incredible weather. We've had a lot of individuals out on fans, and they like to look up the stars, because when they're in China, they can't see the stars. There's so much sediment in the air, smog, and so forth. They don't get the beautiful skies that we have. So we think it's a great opportunity of giving them out, coming out from LA. We're talking about doing some programs in China with LA and LACBB, and utilizing that gateway for us as we come into the destination. Air service is a critical component. We're spending more with the airlines this year than we ever have in the past, and a lot of that has been co-op marketing between us and the airlines. This year we're actually getting into the magazines. A lot of times in the past we would work with the airlines, we do co-op marketing with them specifically within their system. Now we're actually getting in front of the consumers. So we're in the airlines, both on their print magazines, digital, website, and so forth. So as an example, as a result of our buy with Alaska Airlines, they featured us in December. There was a 21-page editorial on the destination, which we could have never afforded to do. And they did that. They just had so much content. They had so much support locally from different country clubs and so forth that were advertising in that. So that was a big hit. WestJet had a 9-page feature of us in December as well. So that's just a little highlight of kind of what we're doing. Convention sales had a great year this past year. We booked 196,000 rooms, which was a record for us. The sales team did great. We hired Rick Blackburn from La Quinta. He was at La Quinta for 2 years. We got to know each other on the China trip, and I felt like he was perfect for the next stage and next level for our organization, and he was ready for something a little bit different. He's been in hotels for over 23 years. Also within your packet, you've got a report that we do specifically for La Quinta. So we try to take everything we do and break it out and show what we're doing for La Quinta. Now obviously there's a lot of overlap. We go to a lot of trade shows, we do a lot of site inspections, we do a lot of different things, but some interesting numbers. In 2013, the city contributed to us in the form of TOT payments $169,000. So our total budget, as you know, the TOT that comes into the CBB from the whole valley is about $1.1 million, and the rest of it's now all coming from Business Improvement District dollars, both the 2% and the 1%. So in 2013, we sent the La Quinta hotels 420 leads that represent 253,000 room nights. So those leads may be still out there, might still be pending, people still might be looking at the destination. But of those, 42 groups have booked in 2013, representing almost 20,000 rooms and over 13,000 people. We estimate those 13,000 people will spend about 13.8 million while they're here, and that includes their hotel, it includes all their food and beverage. It doesn't include their air transportation, but they rent the car and so forth. That's kind of the estimates for that. Then we look at what actually took place in La Quinta in 2013 from bookings that took place in the back. So they might have booked a group in 2009, 2010. Generally, all of our bookings are anywhere from 6 months out to a year and a half out at the most, sometimes even a week out. It just depends. But from previous years, we had 37 groups that took place in 2013 that generated about 16,000 rooms. And it's about 3.3 million in room revenue. We don't know the exact room revenue. We're going off the STAR report, so we have to use the average daily rate. So it could be higher, it could be a little lower, but should be pretty close. Which that should have generated about $365,000 in TOT. So in 2013, we booked 42 groups looking forward. However, in the year, for the year, we booked 14 groups. So meaning, we might have had a group look at us in January, looking at La Quinta for June, and they might have booked. So we had 14 groups. But of those 42 groups, they generated about 3.5 million in revenue and about almost $400,000 in TOT. So if we look at 2013 overall, in summary, we would have generated about $750,000 to $780,000 in TOT back to the city from our efforts that we're doing. And that doesn't include everything that may be coming indirectly through the hotels because they saw an ad or we recognize the destination. Some of our media plan efforts have generated a lot of exposure for the destination. About 13 different articles nationally. We don't really look at anything locally, it's all national. Almost $600,000 in media value that we didn't have to buy, that wrote stories on the destination and either included or featured La Quinta. On our visitor guide last year, the La Quinta resort image was the iconic image on the front cover. So that was the lady in the pool, beautiful shot. And then we also have our visitor guide that went out to about 25,000 consumers via mail, out of market, nothing in market. And then we have quite a few that go online and download it and look at it digitally. And then travel industry sales, which is both domestic and international, did about 40 FAMs and site inspections over the past year. 16 of those included La Quinta hotels and properties and different venues. And then all those details are also outlined in that particular program. We did a nice program with Bob Mara and Humana this past year. We kind of sat down and said, how can we get more involved with each other and really leverage this incredible asset that we have in this destination, having a PGA Tour here. So we struck a deal and we were sponsor of the tournament. In exchange for that sponsorship, we were given a Pro-Am spot, and we did a social outreach and online outreach to promote the Pro-Am spot so people could sign up, learn more about the destination, and hopefully win. We had a gentleman, his name escapes me, from Oklahoma, who won the event. We did it through golfchannel.com, NBCsports.com. We did digital billboards. We promoted the tournament up in San Francisco. We're doing digital billboards up in BART, which is the first time for us. We're doing digital billboards up in Seattle. We're online, and we're on the air in Canada, so the Weather Channel at night when you're watching it on the news, when you're watching the news and the weather comes on, at the very end, the weather was sponsored by Palm Springs, and then the commercial comes on and it shows the whole beautiful destination. So we're really trying to diversify, do TV, outdoor billboard, and really focus on the great things there are to do here. So you see shots from the entire valley, playing golf, tennis, hiking, all the different things that we're doing in the destination, and really keeping it focused on the air markets and air feeder cities coming into here. We're also sitting down and talking to the different airlines about what do we need to do for minimum revenue guarantees. So as an example, October is a very busy month for us, but American Airlines used to come into the destination in September, then they moved to October, and then this past year they moved to the third week in November. So now, in October, we have really no nonstop flights from Chicago into the destination, which is really one of our busiest months of the year in terms of group business, or one of the busiest months in the country, actually, for group business. So we've talked to American, and we've agreed in principle to have a minimum revenue guarantee. So basically what we've said as a CVB is you start the flight October 1st, and if you don't meet your revenue projections, we'll bridge the gap up to a certain amount because we're not unlimited resources here, and they've agreed to that. We haven't gotten the contract yet, but they've agreed to it on the email. We're having that same conversation with United Airlines on the Houston flight. And so I think long term, if we can get the small hotels and vacation rentals included, we can raise some additional funds. We can even go further than that. Maybe we can get that flight back in September, because September is one of the worst months of the year right now. You lose all the family vacations from the summertime. The group business is having a hard time getting here. The rates are up in airfare and so forth. So we're really looking at how do we continue to move those flights earlier in September and try to grow that group business. So lots going on. I'm probably taking way more of that time than I had anticipated, but I'd be more than happy to open it up for questions. And I guess I just want to reiterate, I know that we're going going through. We just came off of an incredible tournament at the Humana. Just I can't advocate enough how important events are for the destination, from the arts festival and everything that goes on here. But having that PGA Tour in your city, in our valley, is so critical to be on TV. We're going to continue to sit down and see what we can do to help Bob and his team have a successful event, and anything the city can do to help them have a successful event, and make sure we keep it in La Quinta, keep it in the valley, and never let it go anywhere else, and grow it so it becomes one of those iconic events again where everybody's talking about. So with that.
Kim Sperry. One, regarding the airport, I've been flying more out of Palm Springs, and the rates have come down for Palm Springs, so I'm not having to make that drive to Ontario, so I really appreciate whatever is working over there. It's working out pretty well, and I'll be flying out of there tomorrow, so I appreciate what's going on over there and the change in the cost on the flights out of there. You know, you mentioned the Humana. Do we have any idea on what the Humana does for La Quinta?
That's a good question. I think that's something that we talked about, and I'm going to encourage Bob that maybe we sit down and look at an impact study specifically for that event. Have a third party come in and look at everything that's going on at the event and do an impact study, so you can really know what the impact is on the destination.
Okay.
I guess you could obviously theoretically take a look at all your sales receipts for that time period, look at the hotel, look at the occupancy and so forth, but I think the bigger picture is how many of those people that are watching it on TV in Chicago, Minneapolis, and other places around the country, then all of a sudden are saying, I was thinking about going to Florida or somewhere else, and all of a sudden they're booking their trip, and that's the hard part that's really difficult to track. I know we looked great. We as a destination looked great on TV. It was 75, 80 degrees. I mean, I got texts and emails from customers and friends from all over the country. And then they were in Phoenix this week, and it was kind of cold and cloudy and so forth, so that was kind of nice. I was kind of feeling a little relief. But we know Mother Nature always has a little hand in that. But you got to capitalize and take advantage of that.
Right.
As one example, we were in the Mall of America, or still are, with 32 digital billboards from November through March. So as people are going through the Mall of America during that polar vortex, and this is going on and everything else, there's beautiful shots of the destination. So we want to make sure that we finally have the first time in our history at the CVB have the opportunity to capitalize on this great event beyond the golf world and expand it a little bit more as well.
So we'll look forward to that information.
Yeah, you ever consider when people check into the hotel, give them a little survey form and ask that they fill it out, say, why are you here?
We have talked to the
That'll
hotel.
tell you if they're here for the Humana or whatever. Paramus, the tennis tournament, I know, I was talking to the hotel this morning, the manager, and they're booked solid in that. I booked 6 rooms.
Yeah. No, great, thank you. We appreciate the TOT.
Well, where else would I send her? Right. It sure wasn't into Palm Springs.
I have a
Yeah.
question.
Christy.
I just wonder how you get those bighorn sheep to come down during the Humana. I know it's you. I know you do something, but I didn't.
That's a Golden Voice hologram. Those weren't real sheep.
Right.
I don't know, PJ must be planting special grass over there. 'Cause that's the only
No,
place
they're
not.
It's in my backyard.
It's in your
I
backyard.
live right up
So
against the
you're right,
mountain.
you're the-
And they're down there, and you can get within 4 and 5 feet of those sheep, and they don't budge. They'll look at you, try and get a little closer within a club length, and they'll move, but they don't bother the golfers, and the golfers don't bother them.
It's really great, though. I
It
I
is.
have people from out of town call and say, I saw those bighorn sheep. I said, oh, they're here all the time. I'm sorry. But aside from that, I want to thank you for the job you're doing. You're so enthusiastic and knowledgeable, and you've really, really helped move this Convention and Visitors Bureau ahead, forward. Done a great job.
It's a passion of mine. I started off in the restaurant business as a dishwasher, busboy, and I've kind of done almost all of it throughout the years. And it just gets in your blood, and I just love it. And I love the destination, and love being back in California, and specifically here. I feel guilty sometimes, living here. And you talk to I told my brother lives in upstate New York. You talk to him.
Just
I tell you again, it's 80 degrees here
Guilty?
today.
How do you think he feels?
He hates you.
Envious. Very envious.
So yeah, I'll take a little credit for being on the selection committee when we were looking for a new CEO with
Alright.
Scott.
We
and that
got
was-
a great team at the
It's-
CVB. We
He's
do.
really developed a strong team, and he's the CEO of this organization, and he's running it like it's his business and to the benefit of the region. And I remember one of the first things he said was, my job is to get heads on beds and get TOT revenue. to these cities to make this a internationally known destination. And it's just clear, just from the business plans, just the strategic direction of how he brings in groups to analyze different areas, whether it's the website, whether it's the trends of why are people coming or not coming, the group components, and tweaking it all along the way to elevate the reputation and the level so that we can compete with some of those other markets. It's been exciting to watch, and
Yeah.
it's a fascinating business, and I'm thrilled to be part of the process.
Evan Thomas told me that today, the January and February of this year has been the busiest they've seen in many years. Hotel.
Great.
A lot of it's coming back.
Yeah.
One of the other things we're doing this year with the little bit extra money we have, we went out to RFP to hire a firm to come in and look at the overall destination, the tourism industry, and just benchmark us to other destinations around the country and the globe. What can we do differently? What do we need to prepare for in the future? How do we plan for that? How do we address air service? How do we address events? How do we address the fall, summertime, all those different things? How do we preserve and protect what we have, but at the same time grow smart? So we always felt it's nice to have a separate organization, somebody come in and take a look at what are we doing the right things? Maybe there might be some opportunities for different cities that are looking at how do they address some issues they have as well. So there'll be an opportunity for all of you to participate, I guess, and work with that group once they've been selected to give your feedback on what's happening in La Quinta, what would you like to see happen in the future, and just utilize them any way you can, because the idea at the end of the day is we need all of you to be, all the cities to be successful in the Coachella Valley. And we all feed off of each other, we all have different personalities, and it's great, but what is it gonna look like in 10, 15, 20 years?
And with that, I'm gonna make an introduction to our Silver Rock group that we're working with
Good.
Scott, even though it's a little premature, but with that type of study to really understand what are the trends and what do we need to add to that location when it gets to,
There's
you
no
know,
question
yeah,
about that.
exactly. So
Yeah, it's a great
we'll
opportunity.
pick his brain and the resources that he's got to help us make some of those decisions. So that'll be great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And while we're on the subject, Bob, you got anything to add with the Humana?
Yeah.
And that,
Summary how the Humana went.
you know, and congratulations, and I know
Yes.
you had something to do with it. I never heard a reference to Palm Springs and Palm Desert during the Humana Classic with any of the commentators.
I'll take a little credit
So
for that.
thank you for that.
How's that and the weather, I'll take some credit for
Yeah,
it.
okay.
I'm sure everyone understands our board member Greg Helms here. Greg is does a lot for us as a volunteer board member, not the least of which is in charge of our marketing activities, which is critical to us. So thanks to Greg for all his work for us. But yeah, I mean, it started with the weather, and it is what it is. It's the best in the country, and we showed so well on television. You know, thanks to Scott and the CVB for having the vision to partner with us on some specific things this year. So I think we did a lot of new things. We brought people from around the country, and we did do a survey. So I can, when we're buttoned up on the report, I'll certainly share it with you and
Yeah,
your
we'd
team.
be interested in that, that's for sure.
We asked them how much money they spent on a wide range of things, as well as what their impressions are, what they did in the city, and so forth. So,
Sure.
you know, again, beyond that, I'd just like to say that I think it's been great working with your staff, with Frank and Edie and Tustin and everyone has done. They've done nothing but offer support and ideas and encouragement, and you know, I'm happy to take it and partner with
Yeah.
the city.
Well, we're proud of John Foster and his group, the classic people that have done an outstanding job over the years, and that the only sad thing was Ernie was not with us this year, and we miss him, and that, but I had the opportunity to chat with his wife, and but she's getting along.
Thanks again. I hope you had a good time out there at your house this year, Mayor.
Yeah, 2 extra guests.
A little party, I think. Thanks again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
Sure.
Okay, that's all we have in presentation, so we'll move on to approval of minutes of January 21.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. Please vote. Motion passes. Please let it be known that this motion passed unanimously. Got to remember to do that. Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar. We did have one request to pull item number 2, which we'll have to do. At this point, I'll ask for any questions or remarks on the consent calendar.
Yes, I could, Mr. Mayor. Two things. One, regarding item number 6, accept Highway 111 and Washington Street improvements constructed by Granite Construction. I was just thinking, I think they did a fabulous job, and traffic seemed to be flowing through that intersection very well, and I just think it was a great job. It finished about 30% over budget, so we've got to continue to work on that area, but otherwise I think they did a great job. And then item number 7 on our new Community Health and Wellness Center. You know, we discussed at our last meeting, you know, we've got our first change order, and we haven't even broken bread on these changes. So we'll hopefully keep minded of the cost on that project. But otherwise, I think these things are fine. And, yeah. And if there's no other questions or anything, I'll make a motion to approve items 1 through 7, excluding item number 2.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. At this time, I'll have to abstain from voting on item number 2, as I live in the close proximity of the project.
And I will too, have to abstain for the same reason.
All right. I will make a motion to approve item number 2.
Second.
Been moved and second, please vote.
Pardon us, would you re-vote, please?
Sure.
Mayor Adolph, yours isn't showing up.
He's not voting.
I can't vote.
Oh, you're not
Abstain.
Abstain.
I did the
Oh,
abstain.
you're gonna abstain, okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. All right, the motion passes 3, 4, and 2 abstentions. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, with that, we'll move on to reports and informational items. Linda, do you want to start us off?
Well, since Scott gave my CVB report, I haven't had my CVAC committee meeting, so I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
Okay, Christie?
Yes, sir. Animal Campus, Mary Roach was appointed the new chair for that group for this year, and Elaine Holmes from Indio as vice chair. They, as I reported about the kennel project, how they're revamping the kennels and everything, they're in phase 3 of that now, and they're using a new and different and allegedly guaranteed floor product that the dogs can't get through. So we're hoping that works, but we'll be glad to have that, all those projects behind us for the animals. I just wanted to let you know too, and I don't report on all of these, but there are so many free spay and neuter clinics going on all the time, especially on the east end of the valley. And so if anyone complains about the cost or whatever, they just have to, they can go online to the animal shelter, animal campus, and find out what group is doing it this week. There's so many different groups that participate. The Animal Samaritans have their physical structure, one physical structure next door to the animal campus, and they are adding 11,000 square feet.
Wow.
I know.
Wow, good fundraising, huh?
Yes, yeah, I guess so, yes. The drawings are done, it says, they just need the money to build it, but they do have they have a great capital campaign program moving forward, so. In the past 2 years since that Animal Samaritans building has been open next to the campus, they've adopted out 4,500 animals.
Wow.
I think that's huge.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that's pretty much it for them.
Okay, good, thanks, Christie.
Mhm.
All right, Terry?
Well, RCTC had its yearly retreat or workshop. Every year it gets called something new, but what it amounts to is 2 days of talking about RCTC and transportation. And there was a significant amount of time, and it's interesting on this inner city rail that we're looking at, the Banning Pass Coachella Valley Rail. It has a lot of legs, but none of them are stuck in any kind of green mud. So there's a lot of talking going on. There's a lot of interest, and there's a big push to make sure that our voice is heard at not only the regional but at SCAG and on through to the state, and the plans that are put together for rail transportation. And when it comes down to money, no one knows how we're going to do it. But I guess you get enough people interested, and somebody will step forward with money. And I just received today a request from Sheldon, who's with RCTC, and it's a sample letter that in fact, the committee requested that RCTC put a sample letter together and a resolution for each city to support, if they choose to. So that came today, so I had a copy made for each of you. You can glance at it, and I don't know what your decision will be, if you want to participate with a letter or not. It's something that the city manager can get on another agenda in the future. But I continue to support the whole concept. I'm not going to write a check for it, but I do continue to support it. And basically everything else is, we had a report on the financial picture for Riverside County as we go into 2014. And most of the areas were very positive. There was some kind of feelers put out on the potential for a very small tax increase because of, there is not that kind of infrastructure money around anymore. Our Measure A is doing well. Most of it's committed for right now. But it was just a 1% vehicle license fee discussion, and Will Kempton, who was the executive director for Caltrans several years ago, and another gentleman worked on a potential constitutional initiative, constitutional amendment. But as they worked through it and had more discussions out with the public, I think they've decided to put this aside for this year and go for it next year, knowing what the governor's got in plan. And so, anyway, those are the kinds of things that we talked about. And otherwise, RCTC is healthy, wealthy, and healthy and online with its money, and going great guns with the transportation projects that we have, and particularly, it does look like the Jefferson Street overpass is going to be stalled about a year, mainly because we've gotten some federal money into it, and the Fed money is requiring some additional permitting processes, and the process, it's just going to be the process in and of itself is going to be the delay.
Yeah.
So hopefully it won't be a year, but it could be from 9 months to a year. And then
Were those same permits required on the other overpasses?
only if there was Fed money in it.
Fed money, and they weren't.
So that's what happens when you actually take Fed money. It costs you.
At some point.
Yeah. So, and at that point, that's all I have to report on. Thank you.
Okay. Lee?
These are extras.
Mr. Mayor, last month, our last meeting, we talked about the CBAG and the homelessness shelter. Now, Edie, they did the count on the homeless veterans. Do you know if they had any count here in La Quinta?
They did have a count in Quinta. The count, they were in two ways. They were done with volunteers in certain areas along the Coachella Valley drainage area, and then they also had one that was over in and around the campus senior center and the library.
Okay.
And there were 2 homeless veterans from the count on the campus and the library.
Okay.
We haven't heard from the county on the numbers that they got from that other area, but we expect to hear back from them.
All right.
So we know, as of what we know today, there were 2.
Okay. And the county will then contact those and give them a rundown of what's available to them and the
That's right.
resources
That's
for those,
right.
so they can find home. Thank you. And then last night, I had the Imperial Irrigation District ECAC board meeting. Quite a few things. The agenda showed like 17 items, so it was a long night, about a good 3-hour night on all these different items. A couple of the things that I wanted to bring forward, you know, in their budget, they have, I believe, $18 million for public service. And last night, they approved $66,000 to hook up proper electricity to 2 of the trailer parks, not Pachenko Park, those trailer parks for farming that have lower requirements standards that are approved within Riverside County.
Yeah, it does start with a P, and I can't
Yes,
think
it does,
of
and
it.
the senator that
Yeah.
brought that bill up. Anyway, yeah, they approved $66,000 for electricity to really bring in correct electricity, because they just kind of hot wire off the lines in nearby for these trailer parks. And so they were able to put that together. And it was a little bit of a struggle from a few folks in El Centro, but luckily we were able to put that together. And Supervisor Benoit had a letter of recommendation for it, so it worked out pretty good. The other item that they talked about, again regarding public service, and these air conditioning, where they will look at low income and come in and look at their air conditioners and make sure they're energy efficient. And they had an interesting study where in 2013, of the total 7,600 participants, 6,300 were from Imperial County and only 1,300 from Riverside County. So there is a pretty big discrepancy between Imperial County and Riverside County. The projections for 2014, hopefully will even it up a little bit. They're expecting 4,500 from Imperial County and 3,700 from Riverside County. But hopefully we'll get the word out more and more to Riverside County residents here on IID, so they're aware of this program. And it's a free program for the low income to come in and look at their air conditioners. But they're looking to spend in this new 2014 $1.8 million and potentially increase the program to over $3 million, so they can look at the energy efficiency on the air conditioners.
But looking at them, do they do anything about it?
Yes, they do. They will replace the item, the air conditioner. They will replace it.
Wow.
So also discussed last night. You guys remember a couple years ago when we had the energy power outage, and La Quinta was out of power for a couple hours. Well, FERC, the Federal Energy Group, finally came to an agreement with the Imperial Irrigation District on the fine. The total fine was $12 million. Of that $12 million, $9 million had to go back into infrastructure and for improvements, and then $3 million was the actual fine paid to FERC, Federal Energy Commission. Now, they haven't reached any of the agreements with the other groups involved, Southern Cal Edison, San Diego, and the groups in Arizona. They're still negotiating that. You know, at one point they got to a point where, do we fight the federal government or do we pay this $3 million fine? And obviously the numbers, you know, you pay the $3 million. So that was discussed as well, and they made quite a bit of improvements, including bringing a huge transformer from Imperial Valley up here to this region to install, which made a big difference for up here. They've already had 2 incidents since then of the same nature, where you have a huge spike of energy coming onto their grid, and we had no problems. And that's what caused the other one. A big spike came in, and the system wasn't able to handle that, so they shut it down. And it took about 4 hours to bring it all back up. So the improvements that they've done have hopefully fixed that going into the future. So plus some solar projects and everything else. But it was again a long night. But that's a bulk of it. We just need to continue to promote these public service programs that they have for our area and our region. And it's a pretty good programs. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
I talked with Frank earlier in regards to this project at 60th and Monroe. It's the Palazada program in Acton. I said, how's this going to how long is this gonna take? And Frank said, we got a problem with IID, and that they want to build that power plant right at the corner there. And apparently staff asked them, if they could move it down closer to where we're gonna put in the new, fire station. And apparently they're not in agreement with that. And I'm thinking right at this corner, we want a power station right at an intersection. And, who do we know down there in the IID that we can talk to?
Yeah, we'll need to talk
that
to Carl
will
Stills.
will at least talk to us, because apparently staff is not.
Yeah, and that's a challenge, because the folks that make those decisions, like Carl Stills, he's the general manager of the energy department, they're all in El Centro or Imperial.
Yeah.
None of them, he redid the energy department, and he's moved all his heads down to Imperial Valley and removed them from the La Quinta office. So we'll need to talk to Carl.
That's where I would start.
And which would create a meeting with Carl.
Yeah, I think
That's where it's
we
gonna
need
end
to
up with.
discuss it with somebody that can look at this intelligently, because who wants a power station right at an intersection and that?
I've already talked to Patrick about it at one point in time.
Okay.
But it was quite a while ago, so I think.
But that's what's holding up
Yeah.
this project.
Well, he's a good person to broker a meeting.
Yeah.
He is,
Yeah,
and
that's-
he can set that meeting up with Carl Stills.
Yeah, and Lee, if you could.
I'll be glad to bring that up at our next meeting.
Facilitated.
At the next meeting in March, Carl will be here in La Quinta for the meeting. So we can certainly set that up. Let me know, Frank, and I'll make the phone calls and we'll put that together.
Yeah.
Be glad to.
Yeah, I think it would be better off next to a fire station
You
than
bet.
at the
That
intersection.
makes sense.
Yeah, aesthetically anyways.
Mhm.
Okay, I had the executive, CVAC's executive meeting last week. Frank and I were there. Frank, and matter of fact, we were on the personnel program. Tom Kirk's coming up for his annual review and that extension of time, so we met with him and did a good process. We've got a couple of proposals that he's looking at and we're looking at, and we'll probably come to a conclusion next week. And there were two items at the meeting that I think are important. And the first one is the recommendation to update Public Safety Committee DUI ad hoc task force in that. And I'm sure you've read about this in the paper in regards to DUIs. And they had revised recommendations. They had 4 recommendations that we're taking into consideration. And that's to increase the DUI educational awareness in the Coachella Valley and involve the DUI ad hoc task force in determining the lead grant applicant. Also, we're authorizing the executive director to promote all actions necessary to submit appropriate grant applications for this project. And we're requesting a letter of support, commitment, and participation from member agencies as required by the restrictive grant program, and developed a model ordinance which will establish a DUI emergency response fee to be considered for an adoption of member jurisdictions. I don't know how they're gonna handle an issue like DUIs,
Right.
and that to enforce it, and that it's gonna happen. But I think we're all in a position of trying to do the best we can to curtail DUI.
Well, they have that grant program that pays for DUI checkpoints throughout the valley. I mean, we have a number here in La Quinta,
Yep.
Palm Desert,
We've
India,
done-
someplace
But
else.
this was the one that I reported on at our last meeting.
Right.
This is where they had an opportunity to apply for a grant for educational reasons, or purposes, and the city of Coachella requested that CVAG, Public Safety Committee, undertake this as a goal, if you will, and they wanted CVAG to be the applicant for the grant. And then when I reported it all to you at the last meeting, it was that I did not approve of CVAG taking on another kind of chore, if you will.
Yeah.
And there was a discussion at that time that Stan Smith would step forward and apply for the grant, and I went along with that.
Mhm.
Now, it's my understanding at the executive committee meeting, that Stan apparently cannot apply for the grant grant regulations somehow.
Curtail him from doing it.
Yeah, but the city of Indio Police is gonna apply for it, and we're gonna work together, isn't that about the essence of it? So that's where I understand that it's.
Better thoughts.
It'll be interesting. I wish them all the luck in the world, but I have my reservations. The second thing is the County Board of Supervisors approved an ordinance that lessens restrictions on preparing hot foods in mobile food facilities known as food trucks throughout the area, and it's up to us and Frank and staff going to have to take a look at that as far as what kind of permit restrictions we're going to have on where these food trucks are and how they're prepared and things like that. And it's up to each individual city to determine how they want to structure the permits of allowing what can be done and where it can be done. I guess the question that I had, which they couldn't answer, I says, if you've got sales tax involved in this, how is that sales tax going to be distributed back to the city? And Mr. Benoit could not answer the question in that, but he said they would look at it to see how it could be handled. So there's some issues that we need to address within our city as far as codes and restrictions on mobile food trucks and where they're going to be. I guess one of the issues that I think Mayor Pro Tem of Indian Wells was very concerned about is the trucks parking in front of food vending areas that take away from what, their livelihood. And he was pretty adamant about this whole thing, as I recall. So it's going to be interesting, but I think this is something that we're going to have to take a look at, and then the council agreed that this is the restrictions we're going to have to put on. So.
I mean, I think definitely there's some decisions to be made, but I think this is an exciting opportunity because food networks, everything food is so popular right now. And if it can be organized into events that draw people to the community without interrupting existing business, to our current establishments, it's another opportunity to bring awareness to everything else La Quinta has to offer. And I would trust that staff would be able to develop guidelines that are not too restrictive, that will allow, I mean, it's no different than some of the things that happen in Old Town. While there's other vendors that come in for that day and do things, it just enhances the businesses that are currently there. So, we have to look at that, but it's super popular, and with the new high school, the whole food kitchen program and the cooking and all that, it just seems like it's timely that it's not the old Roach Coach type model.
No, it's
really
totally
high
different
end.
now.
Yeah, it's totally
it really
high
is
end.
different, yeah.
Well, when you're dealing with food, it's not only nice to have, it's a necessity.
Yes.
Well, I've had some clients that have restaurants come and ask me about it and what La Quinta. I said, well, only what I read about Riverside County, and no, they're not going to park in front of your restaurant.
No.
So, you're going to be okay with that, and he was fine with that,
And you have to be concerned about where it is traffic-wise in that. You can't have them out on the curb and on a heavily trafficked street. You could just see it on Washington. No, I don't think so.
You've got to have safe
So,
parking.
so is what we're going to have to do is make a decision, because it's coming approved by the county this month, I think it is something.
Well, that is approved at the county.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Allows us to then adopt.
But they still have to get a city license.
Right.
Right.
Well, yeah, no, when I said, my reference was that the county's ordinance will go into effect, and these trucks
In the county.
can park wherever the county ordinance says they
They
can.
can.
But the cities each
Yeah.
have to do their own ordinance.
So I think that's their first step, so.
Yeah.
Okay, the second thing is just information from Sunline, and that Sunline, we installed 70 new bus shelters throughout the area in the Coachella Valley in the last several months, and so that's very nice. We only got 2 in La Quinta, but we'll be getting more.
But some of them, I've been seeing them around,
Yeah.
and those are the ones that existed, just were never installed, so with the new general manager, she
Yes,
just
they
get them done.
had seats there, but they didn't have a shade structure in that. So it's it's a first step, and we have the funding to be able to do it, and I think it's important, especially in the summer months. And we did approve a recommendation to award 30 non-temporary cabs to American Cab and 20 non-temporary cabs to Yellow Cab. So we've got another 50 cabs out on the street that are non-temporary, because each cab company had, during peak seasons or peak times, put more cabs in service in that. But through the season, they've added 50 more cabs. They found out that they were making people wait, especially at the airports and things like that. So we went ahead and approved that, and I think that's a good situation, because one of the first things that a visitor comes in, gets in the airport and wants to take a cab to a hotel and can't get a cab, and that they get a little antsy about things like that. So I'm happy to say that we did go ahead and approve it. Sunline is also getting together with Desert Regional Medical Center for a student art contest, which is going to be great, and the winners will have the bus wrapped in this their student art, and that it's another program to make us aware and the citizens aware of our bus services that we have in the city. So it's a nice program. We're happy to put into effect. And that's it, with one other exception. I did get a notice in today's mail that the advisory board to CBWD is going to have a meeting the end of this month. We haven't had a meeting in a year and a half, but we're going to have one at the end of the month, and I'm sure that we'll be discussing water usage. And that, so it's going to be fun. Be surprised to see who's there. Okay, that's all I have. So we'll move on to department reports. City manager?
No, nothing to report.
Okay, city attorney?
I have no report.
City clerk?
Nothing additional.
Okay, now, the department heads, we've got a couple of things. Community services, the play and LaQuinta.com website update. Anything, Edie?
No, just to let you know it's up and working, and the councilwoman Evans had asked me about some issues with the website going down in Humana, and I answered those for her. So it's all working fine.
Yeah, and you're moving forward to later on this month, the Black History Month?
We certainly are in the library.
Looking
Yes.
forward to that. It's like it has been the last several years. It's an outstanding program.
Should be very well.
And I know one thing, the library will be crowded. Okay, the second thing is police department, a report regarding January 24th. That's Nelda, and I know I've known Nelda for many, many years and that, and I just have to compliment the police department on how fast that they responded to this issue, because those citizens out there were very concerned about this individual.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor and City Council. We felt it was important to what concerns the city, concerns the police department, and we tried to act responsively to the concerns in this instance, and hopefully we believe it met with great success in safeguarding the neighborhood.
A thing was brought up. Apparently, you got a subpoena. You went in and you collected firearms and a lot of ammunition. And that I heard that the firearms were destroyed. Legally, can we do that?
Well, the investigation and the firearms themselves aren't destroyed at this time. The investigation continues, in which if the firearms are determined to be a public nuisance as a result of the person's conduct who possesses them, then they can be destroyed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just wondering about, without, maybe going through the legal process, that you're taking somebody's personal property and destroying it prior to, a decision being made.
Right, yeah, nothing like that has happened in this instance. It's more of these items were seized pursuant to the search warrants edict by the judge, and we're holding it as evidence until the conclusion of the case, and at that time, a motion or a argument could be made that a return of these would be a public nuisance,
Yeah.
and therefore the request through the
Well,
district.
be a safety hazard, that's for sure. 'Cause
Exactly.
Just, you question this individual.
Certainly, and we're definitely trying to make sure that we have our investigative techniques and all of our efforts put on this to maintain a safe horizon with this issue.
Good. Well, thank you very much, and I'm sure Nelda really appreciates it.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping the whole community up there is, and all of us are, we're
Well,
benefiting anytime we do something like this, and we do a great job.
Again, congratulations. Good job. Okay, that's all we have. We'll move on to mayor and council members' items. Anybody have anything?
I do.
Okay, Christie?
Okay. There was a mountain lion sighting about a block from my house a week ago,
Yeah.
Sunday. Actually, there have been 2 in PGA in the last 10 days. So, along with the message, and I know everybody probably knows this, but there was a caution especially for hikers because of the drought. They're hungry and thirsty. And not to hike alone. Make sure, or if you're walking, walk with somebody. And given our beautiful mountains that we have that are so close, they also advise that the time that they're out mostly would be dawn and dusk. This latest sighting actually was scary because it's so close to my house, but it was at 4 in the afternoon. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And they're stalkers.
A little early, yes.
Yeah,
you
they're
betcha.
stalkers, and they also said if you have any huge bushes or shrubbery or something in your house, get it down to a level. So just a word of caution, just to be heads up with, and not walk really early in the morning.
Well, our
Especially
team
by
was out
yourself.
our team was out in Indian Canyons, the hiker club, and
Yeah.
did a nice hike, and we came across very large mountain lion tracks
Yeah.
on the backside of a hill, and that's, we all started carrying our trekking poles and started talking very loudly, and had,
Yeah.
obviously we were surrounded by rocks, so it was easy if something happened, but it gives you that little bit of that
Mhm.
eerie feeling until,
I've seen them in our sand traps on the golf course,
Mm.
up against the mountains, and, their paw prints are
They're
this
big.
big.
Yeah, they're there. And there was a homeless person in Paris who was attacked
Exactly.
and mauled. So it's just mainly everyone is saying that it's just the drought. They're thirsty, hungry. So just
We had them on the front porch of our house.
really.
That's why you don't go up there.
Yeah.
Stay away from that. That it? Okay. Lee?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've heard quite a bit about the water issues going on throughout the state of California. I sent out to everybody a recent write-up from Imperial Irrigation District regarding
Yeah.
the water issues as they see here in the state of California. The bulk of our water, whether it be aquifer or the Colorado River water, the CBWD has extreme rights on that Colorado River water. But as we all know, the state of California can do things and does do things that are detrimental to folks that don't need these new regulations and everything. And we've always had a challenge with Sacramento, again, coming down and wanting to tell us what our land use should be and what our rules should be without really understanding where we are in our region. And we certainly can't tell CBWD what to do. I'm really glad to hear you guys are gonna have a meeting. We've got the integrated water resource regional management plan regarding water usage in our area, where all the water groups get together from Palm Springs to Coachella. But it would be nice if we were at the table on some of these meetings now, because I'd hate to have the state of California come down to, La Quinta or this area and say, you as La Quinta need to change your permitting process or
Your water usage and how you use it, yeah.
and without fully understanding our water availability here in this area. And so, we may need to look at things from a city regarding our golf courses and other matters, but it'd be great to get some information from the water district on what we can do or what maybe we should do, again, regarding our golf courses. This is going to be a bigger problem this year as it starts to, you know, it's only gonna get drier as we go for the next 6 months or 9 months. But I think it's something we should be in the front of, not behind Sacramento, and because they'll be glad to tell us what we should do. So hopefully in your meeting coming up, you know, they'll have more meetings and they can, again, we can be ahead of this game instead of behind it with Sacramento.
Well, the good news is the golf courses on the eastern end of the valley are not pulling out of the aquifer.
And we need to make sure of that, yeah.
But the ones on the west end are, because they have no accessibility to the Colorado River
And
water.
that's a challenge I have, because whatever water usage, I don't know if regulations is the right word, that we use, they need to be consistent, again, from Coachella to Palm Springs.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And, you know, we don't wanna create a whole nother committee with CVAG, but I don't know what venue can be used, and maybe this meeting you're talking about will be the venue to discuss these matters. Again, to be consistent throughout the whole valley, and have everybody at the table on how we can manage this process. Because again, as it gets hotter, as it gets drier, San Diego and LA and those areas will look at our golf courses and blame us for their problems. And say, you know, we should have that water, not your golf course. And even though it may be from Colorado River and doesn't affect them anyway. So, you know, the
Well,
rights
the
go back.
farmers, it's gonna hurt them.
You know, and some
And
of
the
those
wine
farmers,
crop.
yeah, some of those farmers pull quite a bit from the aquifer.
Yeah.
If we don't have this other water that we're replenishing the aquifer later this year, you know, we've been able to bring that aquifer up.
Yeah.
You know, but it may start to drop in the next year or so. So
What we pull out has to be equal to what we put back in.
right. And, you know, the water rights that CBWD has goes back to the 1920s.
Yeah.
And it's been said that we are far ahead of others like Nevada and Vegas and whatnot. But as long as we have a clear understanding where we should be, and we're at the table, so to speak, throughout the valley on this matter, again, I don't know what you guys think of what venue to be used
Yeah.
to
Well,
do
I
this.
think you have to remember that DWA and CBWD and Mission Springs Water
Right.
are government agencies with an elected board.
Right.
And it would be up to them to, and Indio Municipal Water.
And Coachella.
And Coachella, it would be up to them to be putting some kind of a group together, if you will, so that, because they're the one, they govern themselves. We can't govern them.
Right.
They govern themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, utility, and
Yeah.
we have no
And
control.
so we need to maybe encourage that kind of activity instead of, just saying, we're gonna do it.
Right, well, I hope, you know, we'll see how your meeting goes,
Well,
and
be the end of the
hopefully they
month.
have one more than just once every 5 years, but,
Yeah, it's been a long time
yeah,
since
the
we had a
challenges
meeting.
the state has this year, it needs to be more often before Sacramento does.
Good. I have a couple items unless somebody else has anything. Okay. Number one, interesting, I was in in Ralph's the other day, and a gentleman came up to me. I didn't know him from Adam, and he says, "You're Mayor Adolph," and I said, "Yes." And he says, "I want to thank you and your city council for your approvals and your issues with Griffin Ranch." He says, "We live at Griffin Ranch full-time," and he says, "You know, what you've approved and that," he says, "We're very thankful, and we want to send that thank you to your city council." I said, "Well, that's very nice." And that, so we did get a recognition from a resident out there that says, "Hey, thank you for doing this," and that's important that we do that. The second thing is, last week I was at the hotel, gave a proclamation to Jackie Cooper. You probably saw it in the paper. It was very well attended in that, and his two daughters was there and his ex-wife, and they came down and really were thankful in that. I had the opportunity to meet him on a couple of occasions. I didn't know him well, but I did meet him in that. But it's been a year since his passing, and that as a relatively young man. So, but it was a great program, and the hotel did a super job in that. So it was nice that we were able to participate. They asked us to participate. So good. Okay, with that, that's all I had, and and we have nothing else at this time, so at this time, I'll recess the city council meeting to the meeting of the city as successor agency to the dissolved La Quinta Redevelopment Agency, and council will reconvene at 7 p.m. Okay, we'll move down to successor agency. So at this time, I'll call to order the regular meeting of the successor agency to the La Quinta Redevelopment Agency for the regular meeting of Tuesday, February 4, 2014. Let it be known that all agency members are present. We'll move on to public comment. Anybody wishing to speak on any item on the agenda or not on the agenda? I don't see anybody, so we'll move on to confirmation agenda. Any changes by staff? No. By agency members? Okay. Now ask for approval of minutes of January 21.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second, please vote. Please be aware that the agency approved the issue of the minutes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to well, that's it. No consent calendar, nothing, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourn. Second.
Moved and second, please vote. Motion approved unanimously. Okay. That takes care of it.
So we're back at 7.
Back at 7.
No motion for an emergency change.
Hey, it's Albert
She's
show.
anxious.
Chief, let's all speak slow.
Did you get an email from Dick? Say, come home, fix dinner?
No. Richard knows better.
Yeah.
Ready, Susan? Frank?
We're good.
Okay. Okay, at this time, I'll reconvene the La Quinta City Council meeting for Tuesday, the 4th of March. February, where am I going? Yeah. February, I'm rushing the year with that. First item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody, well, we have no public, so we'll move on to public hearings. We have one this evening, and it is to adopt a resolution to approve the city's community development block grant funding priorities to be included in the Riverside County Economic Development Agency 2014 through 2019 Consolidation Plan Resolution for 2014-003. We have staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. The county's CDBG program consists of 30 unincorporated communities and 13 participating cities, in which the city of La Quinta is one of those 13 cities. And we have a cooperative agreement with the county as a result. There is a consolidated plan that the county is required to establish and maintain that HUD requires, and it has to be updated every 5 years. We're currently into that process right now. The consolidated plan, really helps guide and direct federal funding, the CDBG program. It's not a absolute, but it's a guideline, if you will, that's there available for decision makers such as yourselves when it comes time to consider funding priorities for allocation of CDBG monies. So the current plan will identify those funding priorities for the planning period of 2014 through 2019. The county does require us to conduct a community needs assessment, which includes a survey and the public hearing this evening. We did distribute surveys out in both Spanish and English to several locations. We distribute them out to pretty much all of our low and moderate income housing developments, as well as the senior center and also the Boys and Girls Club. We focused in on 9 general community development needs in that survey, and we received 33 surveys back. I wish 33 were returned back to us. Unfortunately, we didn't have as much time as we were hoping for. It was about a 3-week window. We were notified a little late from the county. I think if we would have had more time, we could have done a stronger effort of distribution and receipt, but that
Or
is
an online survey.
I'm sorry?
Or an online survey.
Or not, exactly. That's one of the thoughts we had, was an online survey, but unfortunately our time was limited. So as a result of that effort, we identified out of each of the categories several specific needs. And again, these are all based on the surveys and the results of those surveys. So the numbers, the ranking of numbers by the subjects is not in any order. It's what's within that, the bullet points below that, as to what the community said are important to them from those, again, those surveys that were returned to us. We've taken that information, it's within your staff report, it's within the resolution for your consideration this evening. We certainly would welcome any input you might have regarding those priorities. And if you feel fit to do so, we would be recommending approval of the resolution that's for you tonight. I want to emphasize again, though, that resolution, that information that we would then be forwarding to the county does not restrict or limit council going forward with regards to your opportunity to consider each and every application that comes before you during our annual CDBG application process. But it is a guide, a tool for you to utilize going forward. So with that, I'll conclude my staff report. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Thanks, Les. Questions of staff?
I have no questions.
Okay. Linda?
So one of the distribution points was the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
So did they take the survey home to their parents, or were we having?
That's what we were encouraging in all locations, was for an adult to complete that survey and bring that back, mail it into us, bring it back to that point, and get that back to us. So yes, it was something that we were looking for an adult to complete.
And are we required to do it to low and moderate income housing? Or is that just what we chose?
It's not, we chose that because of the community development block grant monies are really intended to, within the eligibility categories, are focused more on income challenged in households, as well as age elderly residents as well. So we really wanted to target those areas, and of course we felt that at least within our affordable housing projects, that we obviously had a lot of folks within those communities that would qualify for potential future funding, either through services or programs. So we did intentionally reach out to those communities.
Okay.
And it's actually a percentage of the grant that we receive has to go to certain kinds of programs, and only a percentage, and then the other percentage
It's discretionary, right?
needs to, capital. That's what we've been using it for, as capital, yeah.
That is correct. You could spend all of it on capital if you choose to do so. You're only limited on public service.
Right.
And there's a cap every year, but if you chose, you could do 100% capital. You just can't exceed the percentage amount, which varies every year based on a multitude of factors.
Right.
But you're limited on your public service use of monies.
Okay.
Anything else?
No. Thank you.
Okay. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing. We have no public, so I'll close the public hearing. The matters before the council.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-003,
003.
a resolution of the City Council of the City of Quinta, California, approving the city's community development block grant funding priorities.
Second.
Moved and second. Please vote. Motion passes. Let it be known that all members voted unanimously to approve the resolution. With that, I think we're completed. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor? Please vote. Okay. Okay, motion passes, we're adjourned. Passed unanimously.
Hope everything goes well at lunch tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
You know, I won't be
Yeah,
here, so,
yeah.
everything-
Are you taking a short vacation?
Yes. Yeah, we're taking, Nancy and I always leave town for 2 days before I go crazy. So,
Son's birthday,
we're gonna
right?
Run off to New Orleans and see my son for his birthday.
That's fun.